Hey again, this is MinecraftingDAD, and welcome to episode 1 of my Minecraft FTB Regrowth 0.7.1 Alpha Modpack series. This modpack is available on the FTB Launcher. Information on how to download the pack is available in the video description below. These episodes will focus on my Let's Play or playthrough of the pack. I will try to explain much of what I do as I play along. If you notice me doing something that can be done in a better, faster, or more efficient way, please be sure to leave a comment below. Regrowth is a listed third-party mod pack created by FTB centered around using HQM mod to complete quests and regrow the world from the wasteland you start out in. From what the world lacks, you will need to find a way to restore nature while battling mobs and other issues. This pack contains highly customized recipes and unlockable features, forcing you to follow a specific quest line in the beginning and then giving you more options as you move on. So, let's do this. First thing we're going to do is we're going to create a brand new world, and we're going to call this MCD. We'll just call this Let's Play. And of course, we're going to be in survival. Create a new world. And we'll wait for the world to download. Alright, what we're going to want to do in this mod pack is we're going to want to be able to gather as many supplies as possible and find a suitable place to live. You may have already seen that I have done a 0.65 Let's Play in Regrowth. So we're going to take some of those skills and we're going to use them to our advantage. So skipping the book, if you want to listen to his story, you can certainly do so. Basically everything that is said here I've kind of gone over in my introduction. So let's look at the first set of quests here. So there's a whole bunch of new quests that have been added in the 0.7.1, but the very beginning starts out just the same as the 0.65. So let's take a look at those quests. So there is one in reference to killing an Enderman. We may accomplish this at any given time during our recordings. When we do, we'll be able to unlock this quest. The next one is one that requests us to gather 10 pieces of deadwood. Also wants us to gather 4 pieces of charcoal and 7 pieces of flint. I'm going to let you know right off the bat, you're going to want to gather at least double what they ask you to gather here. There is other quests that you're going to unlock, but more importantly, it's most important that we gather as much of this material as possible, as quickly as possible, before we end up finding a place to hide out in. So, I'm going to give you a kind of a quick way to get started in the pack. But the most important thing for us to do is to gather enough supplies. So there's 2 different things we're going to look at here. One is we're going to gather from these trees. They contain both dead wood and also charred wood. This one's going to be a little bit harder for me to reach, so because it's only me here, I'm going to leave that tree hanging. Maybe we'll come back later and get rid of it. So you can see here, this is deadwood, which drops deadwood planks and sticks, and you also have charred logs, which drops both charcoal, sticks, and you can also occasionally get something called wood ash. All these things are going to become very useful in the near future, and every time you unlock one of the achievements in the pack, you get fireworks that happen to go off, so that's always exciting. So more importantly though, we want to gather as much of this as we can in a short period of time. By the time we get into a safe spot for the night, we want to have enough supplies in order to get through the first several quests. So just to give you a heads up, the next quest after we gather these supplies is going to ask us to break a ton of grass. So in the meantime, while you're gathering all these supplies, and I mean gather as much as you can, you want to go crazy gathering supplies. As much wood, as much flint as you possibly can. And while you're going between the trees, you also want to break some of this stuff. And in the grass, you're going to find things such as wheat seeds, floral fertilizer, bone meal, clay, pasture seeds and belladonna seeds. But like I said, it's not such an important thing to worry about what you're going to collect. It's to collect everything you possibly can and as quickly as you can in order to get started quickly. If you don't do that, what's going to end up happening is if you take your time to go exploring, you're going to be stuck out in the world, and you're not going to have the ability to, you know, dig a hole fast enough before the mobs are going to come up and get you. And, you know, the most important thing, starting quickly, is having the right resources to get moving forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward here a little bit, and I want to continue to gather some resources. And let's see, we're going to go... So yes, let me gather up some more of these supplies, and I'm going to fast forward a bit, and I'll have a good bit of these resources gathered up. Alright, so while I was thinking about it, I also thought of another thing that you want to keep an eye out for. When you're breaking the grass, one of the most important items in the very beginning is going to be clay. The reason why that is you're going to want to basically build yourself a bucket as quickly as possible. So one of your first tasks should be to gather 3 clay. I wouldn't worry so much about the other things in the grass quest, which I'll show you very soon, but more important is make sure you have at least 3 clay. And like I said, it's good to keep all the other stuff, but you definitely want to have 3 clay. Alright, I'll come back in a minute when I've gathered all the supplies that we need in order to move forward. Alright, while exploring about, let's just say we've had our first encounter with the natural wildlife. One of those guys right there, this is a wither cat. To be avoided at all costs. I don't want to be made an example of, so we're just going to head in the opposite direction. So I'm still gathering some supplies. You can see I've got a fair number of them. Just hunting for that elusive third piece of clay, and then we'll be ready to look at getting set up. Oh, there it is. Good. Okay, so now let's take this and let's go find a place that we can live here. This has got water nearby. A nice little elevated piece of land. Let's go see if we can find somewhere to call home for the night. So we're going to want to be able to dig into the side of the mountain here. So let's look at completing our first quest. So the first quest is gathering 10 wood, 4 charcoal, and 7 flint. It's going to give us 12 apples, which you can see we desperately need. So let's grab those and eat a quick snack. Try to eat up as quickly as possible. Let's look at our very next quest. So the next quest here is such a tool. It wants us to make wooden tool rods, which we don't technically need. We can use the sticks for that. Wooden bindings, a flint axe head, pickaxe head, and 2 shovel heads. So let's go and start making some of these things. Bindings are easy. You can just basically cross 2 sticks like that. The flint axe head is 2 across the top. The shovel head is 2 straight up and down. You need 2 of those. So let's make sure you have those. And the axe head is 3 pieces. So there we go. We've got those different items. So from that, we're going to be able to craft our pickaxe, which you push the three different items inside of your crafting grid. We're also going to be able to craft the shovel and our mattock, which is and a flint axe. I think that was a werewolf, and I think we want to try to find a place to live here as quickly as possible. So let's just get ourselves underground here and not have to deal with Mr. Werewolf. So let's take these blocks and hopefully find ourselves a nice little hideout here. We're also going to want to take a piece of our charcoal. Oh, this is going to go over swimmingly. That guy is just a little bit loud. So that noise that you hear is a werewolf or something. I dare not try to figure out what that is. Alright, so you're probably wondering, how do you create a crafting table? Well, you take your fully repaired hatchet, and by I say repair, you could take any tool and you could stick a piece of flint in and you can repair it. So this has a little bit of damage. You can repair it with one piece of flint, just like so. To create a crafting bench, you put one piece of hatchet and one piece of dead wood plank. That's going to allow you to create a crafting table. Let's take a look at our quest book, because I think we skipped ahead a little bit here. It wants us to create the tool rods, even though we technically are not going to use them, and you could do that just by putting sticks together like that. And then from there, now we should be able to turn in our such a tool quest. And then from this, it's going to be able to give us a flint, steel blade, and also one of these particular guards. I would go with a wide guard. It's just my selection. You could choose to go with whatever you want. And we're going to use the items that we get to craft ourselves a sword. So there we go. We all now have a flint broadsword. So let's get our tools arranged in a way that makes sense. So I'm going to just put these things in here. Alright, so while we're in the bunker here, let's take a look at the quest to the next quest here, which is pattern response. It wants us to build a tool station, a stencil table, a parts builder, pattern chest, crafting table, which you've already completed, and a furnace. So let's start going through some of these things. So in order to build a stencil table, it wants us to use an oak wood. Let's see, there should be a way that we can combine to make these guys. I think if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, okay, good. So if we combine 3 of the dead wood, we get oak slabs. And it does have kind of like a reversing ability. So if we take those and we put them on top of each other, you can get one full oak plank. As you can see, there is the easiest way to, you know, craft wood planks, oak wood slabs, and then turn those back into full planks, which then allows us to create the patterns. I think you can also just use the dead wood to make patterns as well. Yes, you can. So this is also another way you can make patterns, but I think if I'm not mistaken, you do need the full oak planks in order to create the you know, like the stencil table, for example. Then in order to create the just chuck that on the ground. Then we need to be able to create some other things in here, which is also the tool station, the parts builder, the pattern chest, and the furnace. In order to get the furnace, well, that's pretty straightforward. You just need to grab 8 pieces of cobble. So we will grab those. That's going to be pretty straightforward. So that one is not going to be difficult at all. So you can see we have 15. So here we should just be able to make a regular furnace. No big deal. Let's also make ourselves... we need to make ourselves another crafting bench. So let's take the full hatchet and a piece of wood. There we go. We have the crafting bench, and then combine that with a pattern. And that's going to give us the tool station. And the other items we need is the parts builder. So thinking for this, it's actually going to be a combination of this entire dead wood plus a pattern. That's how you're going to get your parts builder. And what's left? Other than that, we have the pattern chest. So this dead wood can actually be combined to make a chest just like you normally would. And if you stick that with a pattern on top, you now get a pattern chest. So let's go ahead and turn this quest in, and this will give us a full guard pattern, piece of charcoal, 16 pieces of charcoal, and 64 deadwood. Now, the reason why we cannot collect this is more than likely because our inventory is full. So let's just go ahead create a chest and plop this down and basically store some of our extra items in here. So we got tons of items. Now if we go to the quest book and click claim reward, we are now able to collect those specific items. Alright, let's look at the quest book again. Let's see what we have opened. There's also this one here called Earthly Possessions, which is going to want us to collect 32 cobblestone and 32 dirt. So I'm going to work on that here as well. Let's see, is it still nighttime? I think it should be. Let's take a look outside. Oh, it is daytime. So, hoping that werewolf or whatever it was that was out here isn't out here anymore. So I think we're going to spend some time working on the next quest here, working on Earthly Possessions, and we're also going to work on gathering up some of these supplies, which looks like we have every one of them. So we needed to gather 3 floral fertilizer, 3 clay, 1 bone meal, 1 pasture seed, and 1 belladonna seed. We get that. That's now going to allow us to have the 6 seeds, 1 carrot, and potato. Let's put those away for right this second. We're going to take the 3 pieces of clay that we got, and our very first task here is we're going to want to fire the clay bucket. Let's throw a piece of charcoal in, and we're going to want to use this to go gather up some water in order to set up our first little farm. This is really one of the most important things we could do, you know, in order to advance in this pack. So let's look. I think there was really close by, we had a puddle of water here, right here, in fact. And we have a nice concussion creeper, which we're going to try to avoid. Let's get inside of our hole and close this up here so we don't cause any issues. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to be able to gather up some of these supplies. So give me a little bit of time and I'll work on gathering up the what was it? The 32 pieces of cobble and the 32 pieces of dirt, and we will be right back in just a few minutes. Okay, I've managed to scrounge up 32 dirt and 32 cobblestone in a nearby cave. So we're going to head back to our little hideout here, and we're going to just seal ourselves in for a few minutes, and let's gather up some of the supplies here. We'll also want to just grab a couple torches, make sure we've lit up our area, because you know you don't want any surprises from any surprise guests, so let's just make sure we lit this place up as good as possible. Alright, so let's look at this quest. Now, if we do 32 cobble and 32 dirt, it's going to allow us to get either 32 limestone or 32 marble. Me, my opinion, I could use the marble more than I can use the limestone, so we're going to select that. And with that, that now opens up a bucket of stuff. It wants us to have a fired clay bucket. It just happens to be that mine is currently full. That's why it doesn't recognize it. So let's empty out our clay bucket over here. And now it should be recognized by the quest book. Let's go over here, and you'll see that that was also another quest. It's going to give us bone meal and dirt, but we're going to have to empty out some of our supplies here. Just throw some of this stuff in the chest, and we should be good to go. Let's turn that quest in, and it's going to give us 16 bone meal and 64 dirt. And now we also have some other stuff it's going to ask us to do. So at this point, what I would say is this is the wrap of the quick start guide, but you're going to want to find a suitable area to live. So how would I do that? Let me show you. Let me come back in a few minutes and I'll show you what I consider to be a suitable place to live. So we'll be right back. One thing I forgot to mention, you're going to want to lay down your tinker's tables and also probably set up a little small farming area. We'll go into more detail about how to set up these farming areas in the next episode, but before you go out and about town, you're also going to want to set up the tinker's tables in order to build one of your reward items, which was this full guard pattern. So if we go over to the parts builder, we can take the flint and the full guard pattern, and we can build ourselves a full guard. You want to treat this just like the wrist guard on the regular sword. So we go over to the tool builder. We can combine these guys together. So we're gonna need, like, the items for a regular sword. You can see we need a sword blade. Let's also go over here and let's create ourselves the sword blade. I think this is it right there. Put the flint in. Oh, we need the regular old pattern. We have those over here still. So make the stencil. So we want to make the sword blade pattern. Then we want to go over here to the parts builder and let's build ourselves a sword blade. And we can use a regular old handle. So at this point you could use this, but we're not going to use the wide guard. We're actually going to use the full guard. Then we're going to stick a regular stick in there. And what this is going to give us is the flint cutlass. The reason why this is important to have is it typically, well, it doesn't give you anything extra, but normally you get a much more damaging tool with tinkers. But in this case, it has +6, and so does the flint broadsword. But the good thing is you can make that tool. Maybe you prefer the cutlass over the broadsword, or whatever the case you may be, or maybe you made one of the knives. But yeah, that option is available to you as well. So this is kind of like my little hideout before I go doing some major construction. So you're going to want to gather as much of, for me anyway, I like to use the ground that you find outside as my building material. So this cracked sand, I like to use that to build my walls of my structure for my house. So just give you an idea. And let's see here, I'll try something. If you take a look inside of NEI and you want to know what time is it, you can take a look at the clock, and this will give you an idea of what time it is, so you can find out whether or not it's day or night. This clock here actually will show you the current time, so you can see the moon, and it's just past around about midnight, and if you start seeing the day, then you know it's daytime. Alright, so there's a couple resources that typically when I'm building a base that I like to find. They're going to become very useful, and to me, they're almost essential. You want to find a good lava source and also a water source, preferably close to each other, so you don't have to do much traveling. So being that that's the case, I think what we're going to do is we're going to locate our building relatively close by to both of these resources. So I'm going to start building my house here. What I've done in order to help facilitate it is I'm going to build a 32 by 32 square walled structure using these 4 stacks of 64, and that should be plenty of room for us to build within and create whatever type of building we like. So that's what's going to be in this very vicinity in the very near future. I'll come back and show you that, and we'll wrap up the episode. Alright, so the most important thing that you want to make sure of is that you have a base that is 2-block high walls all the way around. I kind of have a little bit of extra area to expand to later, but basically I blocked in the entire base, and it's completely surrounded by a 2-block high wall that absolutely nothing can get into. So these guys, these are some of the newest mobs that you're going to have to keep an eye out for. These are dire wolves, and apparently there's one inside my base. 2 inside my base. Well then, we have a pack of dire wolves. Well then, I'm guessing these guys don't care too much about torches. I'll slip by here. Excuse me. I'm gonna go slip into my base. Don't. Oh, oh shit. Oh, we're out of here. Get in the house, man. Woo. Seriously, bro. Well, until the next episode. What is our plan? Well, I guess you're going to have to wait to see until the next episode. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Oh, and by the way, you can also watch my live streams on twitch.tv/MinecraftingDAD. Thank you, and see you next time.